Riley, you'll be banging on that gavel for 21 minutes.
I call this meeting of the Church-Cibolo Universal City Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is now 6 o'clock. Roll call.
All board members are present except Mr. Carew and Mr. Inman.
And for the record, Mr. Gary Inman did call me. He's got a previous assignment, a previous engagement. Dr. Gibson, recognition of student representatives.
Yes, thank you, President Westbrook. And tonight we're honored to have Ms. Jackson here from Watts Elementary to introduce our Watts Elementary student to lead us in the pledge. We are honored to have Julia Miner with us tonight. Ms. Jackson.
Good evening, members of the board, President Westbrook, and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. I am Deanna Jackson, the principal at Watts Elementary, and I am so honored tonight to introduce you all to Julia Miner. She is wise beyond her years. She is an exceptional role model, always leading by example. She is a member of our student council and show choir, and her favorite subject is science, and she enjoys doing art in her free time. She is joined tonight by her parents, Melissa and Keith Miner, and her brother, Ben. At this time, Julia will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge as well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Good evening, everyone. Glad everybody's here. Starting next month, we will be having sort of a presenting our special partners with the school district. So we'll have a president's welcome and recognition of special guests. But before I get into anything more, I would like to sort of have a moment of silence for the students who passed away in Parkland, Florida, and also for Dr. Steele, who passed away over the last month, whose namesake is obviously Byron Steele High School. So if you can join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. God bless them. Next, we will have the Vice President's recitation of district mission, vision, values.
Our vision is to prepare every student to be a productive citizen. Our values are leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. Our mission is in the SCUC ISD provides a safe, secure, and challenging learning environment through the responsible use of all resources to afford opportunities for all students to realize their individual potential and to become responsible and productive members of society. We have 3 priorities: high achievement for all students, high performing and an engaged workforce, and effective and efficient district and campus operations.
Board recitation of the district belief statements.
We believe all students have the capacity to learn and be successful. We believe a safe, secure environment is paramount to learning. We believe living our core values of leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning result in the ability to set and achieve lifelong goals.
We believe quality instruction addresses the individual needs of students. We believe engaging, interactive, and authentic teaching creates empowered, active learners prepared for our changing world. We believe embracing technology as a relevant tool enhances learning in and beyond the classroom.
We believe in a professional learning community culture that allows time to collaborate and share best practices in order to improve continually. We believe good communication is critical to success.
We believe lifelong learning enriches staff through professional development. We believe measures of our success go beyond standardized testing, and we believe public education is defined by the local community with limited state involvement.
Next, we will have the Vice President's overview of good governance indicators and the board member ethics.
So each month we are highlighting one of our good governance indicators and one of our ethical standards. And today on our ethics is trustworthiness and stewardship. Those fall under I will be accountable to the public by representing district policies, programs, priorities, and progress accurately. I will be responsive to the community by seeking its involvement in district affairs and by communicating its priorities and concerns. I will work to ensure prudent and accountable use of district resources, and I will make no personal promise or take private action that may compromise my performance or my responsibilities. Our good governance, one that is will play into a factor that's actually on the agenda today is the board has a written plan for conducting the performance evaluation of the superintendent and establishing the appraisal instrument for the superintendent and for the senior leaders. The board adopted a superintendent's evaluation instrument, and process focuses primarily on the board adopted goals for the organization. The board regularly schedules formative and summative evaluation conferences and begins with reports by the superintendent on actions taken in support of the board adopted district goals, and that the board approves the appraisal instrument for senior leaders and discusses the effectiveness of the instrument annually as part of the superintendent's evaluation.
And I'm here to attest that all that is true.
Yes. We do a pretty thorough job behind closed doors, believe it or not. There is some very open and honest discussion behind closed doors about the executive leadership team and Dr. Gibson. So it is practiced. It's not just on the paper. Next, we'll have recognition of student representatives for the month of February 2018. Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, President Westbrook. Tonight we have Jesus Lopez, a 12th grader at Clemens, and Marciano Parasano, a 12th grader at Steele High School. And men, if you'll meet your administrators at the podium, we're going to hear an introduction and look forward to hearing from you. It's our honor guest each month to bring two students from our two traditional high schools to bring welcome to the board meeting. So I'll turn it over to our students of the month.
There we go. My name's Amy Sarazotti. I'm an assistant principal for Clemens High School, and I'd like to introduce our senior, Jesus Lopez. Jesus has been a student at STU-CISD since kindergarten and will graduate this spring from Clemens High School. Throughout his years with our district, Jesus has been involved in many programs. Over the past 2 years, he has been a member of PALS and currently holds an officer position. In addition to PALS, he has also been an active member of band since 5th grade, his instrument of choice being the alto sax. Jesus also leads the Leos Club, a community service organization with Clemens High School, where he serves as president. After graduation, Jesus plans to attend Texas State University, or UTSA, to study law with the intent to be a personal injury attorney. Jesus is joined by his parents, Jesus and Jody, as well as PAL sponsor Mrs. Tabitha Weatherholtz. I proudly give you Jesus Lopez.
All right. Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. My name is Jesus Lopez. I'm a second-year member of the Practicium of Human Services, or PALS program. PALS is a program where high school students are paired up with kids from the elementary and intermediate schools in the district to help the younger kids grow academically and socially. As PALS, our role and purpose is to be positive role models to the kids we're paired with, the other kids in their classes, and the people around us in our own schools as well. When I look back on my high school years, PALS will be one of the first things I think of because of all the amazing memories I've made in this class. The feeling you get when you walk into the classroom and your kid's head raises up with a giant smile on their face, it's one of the best feelings ever. It's a huge joy to be able to watch these kids grow throughout the school year and see them accomplish that difficult assignment, get hundreds on tests, and make new friends. Being with all the different kids I've had, I've learned how to help them complete difficult tasks in ways that best suit them. We are here to help our kids, but what they probably don't know is that they help us in different ways too. They teach us to be patient, kinder, and understandable. They teach us to think differently, to use different techniques. But most importantly, they teach us how to be the best we can be, to not take everything seriously, that we can still laugh and play and just be kids. They help show us how good we really are and how we can be better ourselves. Our PALS teacher, Ms. Weatherholtz, has taught us a lot about leadership and how to work well with others. I'll remember these lessons for the rest of my life and use them as often as I can. I have truly enjoyed all the ups and downs that PALS has given me, and I'll miss being in this class when it's over. As I continue on in life, I plan to pursue a degree in law, where I can use the skills I've learned from PALS to help me help others with the problems that they have. So, to end, thank you for giving me the chance to work with these kids in our district with the PALS program and having me here to tell you about this great program I'm a part of.
Can I have his parents and grandparents stand up?
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. My name is Jeremy Matthews. I'm the Associate Principal at Byron P. Steele High School. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce Marciano Padasano, a senior at Steele High School. He's the son of Tom and Jesse. He is actively involved in Magazine, a 2018 class officer, Model United Nations, AFG ROTC, AFJ, my bad, and National Honor Society around the school. He is also involved in his church at OLPH in Selma, volunteering as a 7th grade Sunday school teacher, altar server, and helping with PowerPoint during services. Marciano holds many leadership positions as the current elected president of National Honor Society. He is the flight commander of 35 students and a squadron commander in ROTC, the business manager of Magazine, and a 2018 class reporter. Marciano also competes with the Model United Nations within ROTC, going to many conferences to compete. He was awarded a full scholarship, including airfare, to the Air Force Academy Summer Seminar this past summer after being accepted and selected to apply, ultimately winning over many applicants. After graduating from Steele, Marciano planning on attending the Air Force Academy as one of the 5 prestigious service academies. He has been accepted into the West Point Prep School and is hoping to hear back from all the academies on his future acceptance into the class of 2022. He is in the top 7% of his 2018 class. He is very competitive with his other applicants and his efforts to be the best at everything he does. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Marciano.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. Hello, my name is Marciano Padasano, as you know, and I am the sponsor of 4NHS. You all know, I am the president of NHS and have many roles in the other clubs and organizations around the school and community. In NHS, we stand by 4 important pillars, which are scholarship, leadership, service, and character. I stand by these pillars throughout my life to become the best person I can be. Throughout my high school career, I learned to become a leader who is dedicated, decisive, respectable, and most of all, selfless. All my life, I've grown up and raised in a military family. My father served in the United States Army for 23 years, and I learned to develop to be a strong, selfless leader, serving and leading for others beyond myself. I am a 2018 class officer and flight commander for ROTC Business Manager and Magazine, and 7th grade assistant teacher for my 4LPH Catholic Church. Some may ask why I do this, or what do I get out of this? I do it to make others better, to improve my school, my community, to improve as a whole. This is also my motivation to strive to serve my country. To be the best possible way I can, best possible way I can. As NHS president, I have many roles and responsibilities within the organization. We have about 200 members a part of NHS, full of seniors and juniors who possess great qualities. With the help of 5 other officers, all with different roles, we plan many community service events, fundraisers such as a food drive we held in November for families in need this past Thanksgiving, and recreation events. Every year, NHS hosts a Nukes Ranch trip where NHS students learn to overcome doubt of fear of heights on the rope course, team building exercises to trust peers and others, and leadership events to build self-confidence and assertiveness. I try my best to serve for the members and always looking out to make a positive impact in my community school. Thank you all members of the board for letting me speak on my behalf and the behalf of NHS, and I hope you all have a splendid evening.
Jesus, if we can get you to come up here, we're going to take some photos.
Are they coming back up or nope? Oh, they're going to do books. Sometimes it's good to sort of have a relationship with some of the students. So the first student was a Leo Club. I was in Leo Club in Churchill High School back in '87. And so that's I know you probably weren't even born there. That was you. There we go. WC was Churchill. There was another one to Churchill back in '87. And then I did go to the Marciano. I did go to United States Military Academy Preparatory School shortly thereafter. So desire, faith, and effort, those are key words there. I will have to sort of digress. We have a distinguished guest. We have Mr. Tomas Uresti from Texas House of State Representatives. Mr. Uresti. Oh, there we go.
If you all have recognitions, I can wait till they're done.
No, you're fine. Okay. We'll be here another hour.
I won't. Well, trustees, I just came by. I didn't get a chance to make it last month, as last month was School Board Recognition Month, and I didn't get an opportunity to come out and thank you all for what you do. I know that the pay is great, the hours are wonderful, and of course, you know, everything that you get is you get a pat on the back for. But as a former board member for 13 years, I know how hard of a job you have, but I know that the payback at the end, when these children graduate from high school, you've done a great job. So I want to personally thank you for your service. With that, I had a resolution drawn up that I would like to read real quick, if it's okay with you. And whereas school board members play an integral role in the education of our children, and the observance of School Board Month, Recognition Month is January 2018, provides a welcome opportunity for the honor of the trustees of the Schertz Cibolo Universal City Independent School District. And whereas working in conjunction with administrators, classroom teachers, and parents, the Board of Trustees furthers the district's mission of providing students with the knowledge and skills necessary to become successful and productive citizens. Its responsibilities include setting policy and ensuring the efficient operation of school facilities with the goal of fostering an optimal learning environment for all students in the district. And whereas the dedicated individuals presently serving on the Church-Cibolo Universal City ISD Board of Trustees are President Robert M. Westbrook, Vice President Amy Drashbach, Secretary Gerald Perkins, Assistant Secretary John C. Collier, and Trustee Edward Finley, Gary Inman, and David Pivotto. And whereas these notable Texans have demonstrated an exemplary commitment to area students, and through their vision and leadership, they are contributing immeasurably to the future of the Lone Star State. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Church-Cibolo Universal City Independent School District Board of Trustees be commended for their service to the community, and that each of them be extended sincere best wishes for their continued service in their important work. Signed by myself.
Thank you very much.
And once again, thank you for your service. I know it's a very hard job that you do, and on a personal level, thank you very much for what you do.
No, thank you very much for your support for the school district, and I think Dr. Gibson has something for you.
Yeah, I don't remember if we've given you a district coin yet, but if we could, I want to hand you a coin, and can we get a photo with you standing in front of the board? Is that all right? Representative Uresti, come on. I guess it could.
Good luck with
Turn
that.
around and let's get it. Yeah, the value of them goes up. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for thanks for all your support. We know we can count on you.
If you remember, last month we had a long agenda, so we moved the School Board Recognition Month to this month. Dr. Gibson.
So yeah, it worked out perfect with Representative Uresti because we're about to do school board recognition. And before we start, I see two faces with our principal ranks that have not been officially introduced. And so Lisa and Clarie, if y'all kind of step out a little bit, the last 60 days, yeah. I was going to call them out by name, but evidently they have facial recognition. But Lisa assumed the duties of principal at Allison Still and Clarie at Sipple Elementary. So we're very proud of them. They're here with their students tonight. So I wanted to take that opportunity. And then tonight, we'll have the trustees come around in front. And do y'all have them for individual board members? So tonight, the role of Mr. Inman will be played by Mr. Westbrook, and the role of Mr. Carew will be played by Ms. Dreisbeck. And so they'll just bounce in and out for theirs, and then also to represent the others. And what we're going to try to do is get a picture right here in the middle as each book is distributed. So we'll have to just kind of be in this phase of ebbs and flows. So as the trustees make their way around their guests, we want to help you know that this month is TASB encourages all school districts to recognize their Board of Trustees, and districts trustees focus on the crucial role. TASB encouraged districts to focus on the crucial role that an elected Board of Trustees plays in the community. These are extraordinary people who voluntarily tackle the enormous job of governing school districts. Their actions affect the present and the future lives of our children. So we'll start with Miss Stilley, and then we're going to get a bunch of photos. Everybody bear with us for just a second. And I got to tell you, that is a sharp-dressed man leading this thing off. It is downhill from here.
Hi, I'd like to introduce to you Liam Martinez. He's a kindergartner at Cibolo Valley, and I'm Lucretia Stilley, and again, we're representing Cibolo Valley.
Good evening. I'd like to present Michelle Davidson. Michelle is a 4th grade student representing Green Valley Elementary this evening.
Good evening. It is my honor to introduce Caleb Bristow. He is a 4th grader from Pascal Elementary.
It is a pleasure for me to announce Atea Roden. She is a 4th grader at Rose Garden Elementary.
Good evening. It's an honor to welcome Miss Aaliyah Marie Serta from Schertz Elementary.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce Ben Miner. He is a 2nd grade at Watts Elementary.
Good evening. This is Chloe Wicker, a 1st grader at Sipple Elementary.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Kayla Coffey, a 2nd grader at Weederstein Elementary, and we will be visiting with Mr. Pivito.
Good evening. It's my honor to introduce Annabelle Ryan, 5th grader representing Barbara Jordan Intermediate, and we're presenting a book to Mr. David Pivito.
Good evening. It's my privilege to introduce Mr. Hunter Long. He is a 6th grader at Wilder Intermediate, and we are presenting a book tonight to Mr. Robert Westbrook.
Good evening. Accompanying me tonight is Justice Bostic. She is a 6th grader at Slaughter Intermediate, and we will be presenting our book to Gary Inman / Mr. Westbrook.
It is my pleasure to introduce Luke Hill, an 8th grade student at Dobie Junior High, and we will be giving our book to Mr. John Carew.
Good evening. I'm honored to introduce to Mr. Perkins and everyone Miss Emily Spiteri, an 8th grader at Corbett Junior High.
Good evening. It is my honor to introduce a senior at Allison Still, Miss Emma Boswell, and we are presenting a book to Mr. Westbrook.
All right, good evening. It's my pleasure to reintroduce Marciano Peresano. He is presenting a book to Mr. Finley.
Good evening. Reintroducing Jesus Lopez, senior at Clemens High School, and we'll be presenting our book to Mr. Perkins.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Jenna Miller and Ashley Udis from the 18+ Adult Transition Program. And we're dedicating our book to Ms. Drysdale.
So as the trustees are making their way back up to the podium, just to kind of put a ribbon around board appreciation. So these are books that were purchased to be placed in our district's libraries, and they'll have an inscription in the front of them or a label in the front of them in honor of each of these board members, I guess for the duration of the book being on the shelf in the library. So we want to thank principals, librarians, parents, and students for helping us celebrate tonight. Let's give a round of applause for all of those individuals.
Now we will have recognition of board meeting principal representatives presented by Michelle Shea and Veronica Goldhorn.
Good evening, President Westbrook, Dr. Gibson, and members of our board. I'm Michelle Che, the Director of Secondary Education for our district, and I'd like to introduce our secondary principal who is attending our meeting this month, Dr. Lisa Newman, and catch the doctor. She's officially a doctor now. For several months now, but it has happened during the school year. She is the proud principal at Allison Steele Enhanced Learning Center. She has served in education for 28 years, and 10 of those years here in SCUC ISD. A fun fact about Lisa is that she once received a football from J.J. Watts at a Texans football game. Thank you, Lisa. you get a or wait, you do, yeah, you get a shake hands.
Good evening, members of the board, President Westbrook, and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. I'm Veronica Goldhorn, Director of Elementary Education Services, and I would like to introduce our elementary principal who is attending this month's board meeting. Deanna Jackson, who you met earlier during the pledges, is the principal at Watts Elementary. and she has served in education for 15 years, and this is her 7th year in SCUC. A fun fact about Miss Deanna Jackson is that if she was not a school administrator, she would love to be a food critic and blogger because it would combine two of her loves, eating eclectic food and writing for enjoyment. It's Deanna Jackson.
Our next recognition, hello again, is the State Board of Education has proclaimed February as Career and Technical Education, or CTE Month in Texas, in conjunction with National CTE Month. The board praised the exceptional work of CTE teachers and their students in programs across the state of Texas and called on all Texans to provide support for CTE programs in their communities. As you know, one of our new priorities is College, Career, and Military Ready, which is supported through our Career and Technology programs. At this time, I would like Mr. Ed Suarez to read our proposed district proclamation in honor of CTE Month.
Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, members of the board, the proclamation reads as such: whereas the Association for Career and Technical Education has designated the month of February 2018 as Career and Technical Education Month nationally, and whereas teachers, administrators, school counselors, and advisors involved in career and technical education serve more than 4,000 students in our Career and Technical Education program, and whereas career and technical education programs incorporate a rigorous academic core coupled with a high-level technical curriculum to prepare students to be college and/or career and/or military ready. And whereas career and technical education builds collaborative connections among education, economic development, and workforce development to support healthy economic growth. And whereas career and technical education offers opportunities for student leadership experiences, supporting personal and professional growth, opportunities to apply academic knowledge skills in meaningful contexts through partnerships with post-secondary institutions, business, industry, and community. And whereas 7 state career and technical student organizations, CTSOs, provide district students with leadership development and extended learning opportunities through membership in FFA, Career and Community Leaders of America, which is FCCLA, DECA, Health Occupation Students Association, better known as HOSA, Technical Students Association, TSA, Texas Association of Future Educators, better known as TAFE, and Skills USA. And whereas the comprehensive, innovative approach of career and technical education prepares students as global citizens for a lifetime of career and educational choices, now, therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Schertz-Cibolo Universal Independent School District does hereby proclaim February 2018 as Career and Technical Education Month and encourages all residents, students, teachers, administrators, and community members to learn more about the opportunities offered in career and technical education in the Schertz-Cibolo Universal City Independent School District.
May I have a motion from a board member to accept the proclamation?
I move the Board of Trustees adopt the attached proclamation proclaiming February 2018 as Career and Technical Education Month and encourage all residents, students, teachers, administrators, and community members to learn more about the opportunities offered in career and technical education in Schertz-Cibolo Universal City ISD.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-6. 6-0, thank you. I can count. Churchill High School, there we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chae, for that. And if anybody is in the audience or watching now at home and you find that interesting, what we're talking about with career and technology education, we have a new School to Employment Advisory Committee or SEAT committee. And if you wish to be a part of that, just let us know. Email me. I think everybody knows my email address, but I'll get you to the right committee. But thank you for that recognition. And we have expanded, as Mr. Lipe approaches to continue here, we've expanded our CTE endorsements and certifications exponentially, but we've only just begun.
How many do we have, roughly?
Why'd you have to ruin it, Mr.
Oh, I'm
Westbrook,
sorry.
and ask me a tough question? How many certifications?
I want to say it was roughly between 12 and 1,300. Yeah.
1,200? Okay.
Certifications or?
Certifications that were earned.
Okay.
throughout
So
for this last year.
And the reason Cassandra, Ms. Gracia knows that is because we, as part of our new strategic plan, are about to really start quantifying, and we're going to say what's reasonable over the next 4 years to increase that number. And whereas that is much higher than what we had a year ago or the year before, it truly is, all jokes aside, that is just the tip of the iceberg. We get ready with your priority 1 reports to track what we're about to do with CTE.
Thank you. Ms. Shea?
Hello again. So tonight, I'm also here to recognize our students who have achieved outstanding academic and athletic distinction. We applaud their commitment and dedication to perform in these areas and bring excellence to our district. Parents, students, and friends, thank you for joining us tonight and for this chance to recognize academic and athletic excellence. Students, congratulations on your accomplishments and best of luck in the future. So starting off with our 2017-2018 academic all-state teams. These students were recognized by their high school athletes who excel in the following categories: their GPA, class rank, and ACT or SAT scores. We applaud them for their commitment and dedication to perform with the highest of excellence academically on and off the field or court. For representing Clemens High School tonight for Academic All-State in football are Carter Brew, sorry. Thank you for correcting me, I appreciate it. James Gaitan, Diego Garcia, Kyle Lewis, Peyton McDowell, and Tyler Smith. There were several more students recognized, but they were not able to be here tonight. Yeah, come on and get it. Oh, you're good. Nice to be tall. Congratulations, gentlemen. And our athletes from Steele High School who earned academic all-state and are able to be here tonight: Alexandra Allenby, Brendan Brady, McKinley Calhoun, Joseph Johnson, Jackson Landsteiner, Tyler Lumpkin, Noah Pickett, Joshua Stinson, and Chenny Walker. Congratulations, nice work. The following students were recognized for their individual athletic excellence at the state or national level. So from Clemens in football, Carter, tell me, I know I said it wrong the first time. Brew, thank you. Carter was named to the Associated Press Sports Editor's second team All-State, as well as the Padilla Poll third team All-State. Carter, come on up. Good. Do you want, yeah, do you want individual, like, okay. Congratulations. Our next Clemens football player recognized for, it was named to the Associated Press Sports Editor's second team All-State, as well as the Padilla Poll third team All-State, Jacques Tyler. Yep. You get a picture too? Yeah. I know. Nice work. For athletic excellence from Steele High School, tonight Brendan Brady was selected to a U.S. Army All-American and was named to the Associated Press Sports Editor's second team All-State and to the Padilla Poll first team All-State. Congratulations, Brendan. Wait, one more. Or two more, I don't know. Congratulations. Also representing Steele High School, Charlie Zeno was named to the Associated Press Sports Editor's Honorable Mention All-State Team, as well as the Padilla Poll First Team All-State. Congratulations. Okay. Congratulations. Now moving on to recognition for fine arts. The All-State is the highest honor a Texas music student can receive. Approximately 1,700 students are selected through a process that begins with over 64,000 students from around the state vying for this honor. This competitive process begins with auditions hosted by 33 regions. Individual musicians perform selected music for a panel of judges who rank each student. Musicians advance from their region to compete at the area level, and the highest ranking musicians are selected to perform in a TMEA, or Texas Music Educators Association, All-State group. The All-State Tenor Bass Choir rehearsed and performed this past week at the TMEA Annual Clinic or Convention in San Antonio. Representing us was from Clemens, Trey Franey. Congratulations. To have anyone at All-State. It's It's my understanding he's the first individual from Clemens to be named to the All-State Choir. Congratulations. Thank you. On February 3rd, orchestra students competed in the UIL Region 11 solo and ensemble contest. To advance to the state contest, students must perform music from the most challenging list of required selections and receive a first division rating from the adjudicator. In addition, soloists must perform from memory. The following students received a first division rating and have advanced to the Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest to be held in Austin May 26th to the 28th. Representing our district from Steele High School are Cody Barone, Peyton Davis, and Hallie Purdue. Congratulations. Thank you. This concludes our recognition portion of the meeting.
There's no public comments, Dee Dee. With no public comments, let's take a 10-minute break. I've given the board an opportunity to interact and say hello to the audience members, and we'll be back at 7:05.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah, 7:05.
want to do the appraisal, or do you want to wait for Gary?
I think we're going to wait for Gary.
Okay, so we do have a real brief executive session, probably 5 minutes.
Okay.
Linda's got a couple things to share.
Correspondence. Board is now back in session, 7:05. Any correspondence? No correspondence. Report on board advocacy, trustee visibility and commitment within the district, the community, and with other governmental entities.
Yes, sir. If you've been to a board meeting, I do my watchdog thing at Green Valley Elementary on Wednesdays during lunchtime in the cafeteria. Enjoy that. It's a great time. Have a good time visiting with the students and seeing what's going on. Also, I was able to attend a rezoning meeting at Clemens High School back in January. There more recently was Ms. Dreisbeck and I were both able to attend a meet and greet with the core leadership team from the Chamber of Commerce here in the boardroom on a Tuesday morning, I believe it was, and really great to hear from them and see what's going on with the Chamber of Commerce and that leadership team. We have one of our students from Samuel Clemens, Nick Chavez, was a member of that, so it's good to see our students involved. And I do have a high-level rounding meeting scheduled at Dobie Junior High, scheduled for the February 27th. Hopefully we'll be able to make that. So there you go. Thank you.
I was able to attend the memorial for Dr. Steele. Wonderful man. Wish we had more like him. Obviously he's the namesake of our second high school, so to be able to pay homage to him and his great works was really something to behold. And remember the comments of his sons, very uplifting and yet very positive as far as who he was and what he stood for in education. So really wish we had more like him, and to be able to remember him in that way was really a nice thing to be able to do. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday the executive leadership team brought me up to speed. I hadn't forgotten a whole lot, but I'd forgotten a few things, so really appreciate them bringing me back up to speed on what's been going on in the district. And like I said last month, I'm still trying to get up to speed on everything else. A lot of things happen during the day that I'm still trying to figure out how to get my schedule quite right. So, but you'll see me more in the district in the next few months, so really appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Pivito and I did the Chamber Core group. That was a great experience, and if you saw some of the tweets, they traveled around the district and just learned about how things are run. And then today I attended the Chamber lunch, and that was great. We had our the report of each city, Selma and Schertz, as well as Cibolo, and learned some interesting facts. Dr. Gibson and I did today. Learned all about that new Santikos theater that's coming and some details of that. So that was great. Saturday I was at the dance competition for Clemens, and if anybody has sat through 13 hours of dance, that was great. But it was great seeing, and our girls did very well at Clemens. And I think since the last board meeting, we've had our signing day at Clemens. I attended as well. And then last but not least, I saw a few of our district kids last Thursday up at the Market Goat and Lamb Show at the San Antonio Livestock Show, and I'll be back on Thursday watching all of our kids that are going to show turkeys.
I got the opportunity to attend the campus chat for communities and schools at Clemens earlier this month, and I was in the building and got to greet some new employees at a recognition also earlier this month, and that was a great opportunity to see the dozen or so new employees that are excited about joining.
Mr. Westbrook, that went something like this. Jerry and I were walking as he had his new iPad, and I said, "Walk with me. Where are we going? You'll see in a minute." And we wound up with the new employees. So that's how it turned out well. Thank you for joining.
I got to go to another appraisal board meeting. I'm starting to get the number thing down. So I'm starting to get comfortable on how to use a calculator, and so it's starting to make sense now. Also, I got to go to the Corbett Rodeo, which was very interesting because it was a dodgeball tournament, a rodeo, and a dance all in one for middle school. The dance was exactly as you imagine, with some people sitting on one side, some people sitting on the other side, and nobody in the middle, just like it used to be. The dodgeball game was intense. Teachers participated, and I think the people paid just to hit their teachers. And there's a couple teachers that got it pretty good. And then, if I understand correctly, they had a bull riding, one of those mechanical bulls, which was very fun to watch. But I think Dr. McGarrell donated the bull riding thing, so if that's accurate, you know, I don't know if he was chalking up business, but it worked out real good. The kids really enjoyed the bull riding, and it was fun to watch. So.
I had the opportunity to attend the student conference with the executive leadership team and Dr. Gibson. Gave me new insight, professional development, and the whole process behind trying to take this school district forward, and also the memorial service for Dr. Steele. Next, we will have new business. We have reporting discussion items. Are we going to go individual ones?
Just priority one, Dr. Wait, I'm sorry.
Dr. Edwards?
Priority one? Yeah.
Yep. Dr. Edwards.
Thank you, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, members of the board. It's my pleasure to actually introduce our Priority 1 report, specifically centered around goals 1.1, 1.7, 1.8, and 1.10. One of the things that, and that's really what I'm going to do tonight, we talk a lot about being an organization that wants to be as bottom-up as possible and only as top-down as needed. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to talk very little. You're going to get to hear from some students, from some teachers, some counselors, and some of our coordinators on the work that's being done. The last time we were here, we really kind of showed the tip of the iceberg. We showed some of our results, which that's what people see. Tonight, we wanted to really share some of the things that are going on below the surface, the work that's going on, the efforts that's happening to really move us to the next level and educate our students. With that being said, we really, tonight, or the last time we talked was about we are where we are. We showed our results from the past year. We talked about we're not okay staying there, and so tonight we're going to hear about how do we get to where we want to go. What are some of the things that we're doing that we have in place and that we're working on to continue for that continuous improvement that we talk a lot about as well. And in true format of a professional learning community, in working with people working interdependently to achieve a common goal. And you'll hear that tonight, answering those 4 critical questions of what do we want students to learn and be able to do, how will we know when they've learned it, how will we respond when some students don't learn, and how will we respond when students already know it, how do we extend and enrich those opportunities for our students. So we have a variety of folks tonight that are going to share a little bit with you about our progress, specifically around our curriculum work and our curriculum instruction and our assessment work. So I'd like to introduce Lista Swartz, our elementary math coordinator, to share a little bit of that, and she has some folks she'll introduce as well. So Ms. Swartz, you want to come on up?
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, Mr. Westbrook, and board. We're so excited to be here today. I have with me Leslie Legg, and she is a kindergarten teacher at Wiederstein Elementary, and we're going to talk to you today about Goal 1.1. So Goal 1.1 is 90% of all of our students will meet and exceed minimum STAR standards combined over all tests, all subjects, all areas. This basically is going to ensure our 2 domains that are met, Domain 1 and Domain 2 for the new accountability system, and it meets the fundamental beliefs that we want all students to master all grade level and course standards for that year that they're in. Well, this begins long before that STAR test. This begins with rich classroom instruction. So this last year, we embarked on a journey. Our journey started with focused planning guides that are being developed through teacher teams meeting to identify critical content coordinators then taking the critical content, information from the state, TEKS resource system, best practices, and putting that all together into an encompassing document with hot links that makes it very easy for a teacher to find what it is we need students to learn. That was then followed up immediately by assessment development, where again teacher teams met, reviewed information, reviewed the focus planning guides, reviewed STAR assessment data, and they put together and developed standard tests that we can give throughout the district to help us track how we're doing. Well, then that leads us to, well, how is this all happening and working on the campuses? So Leslie's here going to tell you a little bit about that, so I'll turn it over to her.
Good evening. Focus planning guides are heavily relied on to drive instruction, to understand standards, and to provide rigor and best practices. Assessments are also calibrated for instructional success. We want to know what the students are learning and if they're learning it. Every 6 weeks, we will meet district-wide with the Revise and Review PLC to allow discussions on past and present units. And in the summer, we will conduct a curriculum camp for teams to come back and collaborate on enriching the guides and assessments to help meet the needs of all students. Thank you.
So here's just a picture of where we are with the development of identifying critical content, assessment design, and focus planning guides. So we've got 2 slides. One's here for math, showing kinder through pre-cal, and kind of gives you a visual of where we're at in that development. And then the next slide is ELAR, showing where we are again with those exact same things in that development. So as you can see, we've been working very hard and diligently for the last 7 to 8 months at trying to put all of this together and building it as we go. We are still working on this. You see, these are live documents. We're constantly reviewing, constantly looking at where we can continually improve our instruction for our students. So we're going to continue to do these things. We're going to continue to look for how we can expand our instructional focus documents so that we can actually be able to meet all the needs of all of our students through data-driven decisions and collaboration and calibration within our own PLCs on campuses and district-wide. Thank you very much, and I'm going to turn that over to Michelle Payne, who is now going to address 1.7.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. I'm accompanied tonight by Christian Mariner. She's a pre-AP English 2 and English 3 teacher at Samuel Clemens High School, and we're going to be talking to you about Goal 1.7. Goal 1.7 is that 60% of students will participate in taking the SAT, and no less than 68% will score at or above college entry criteria on the SAT and ACT examinations. And you can see the beliefs that it aligns with below. The data that you see here is from our SAT class of 2018, which is our current seniors. One of the most fortunate ways for our students that we support Goal 1.7 is by offering the SAT in a day, which allows all of our students to take the SAT test while they're at school. Which you can see our participation rates right here far exceed state participation. The average state participation for 2018 was 53%, and our district participation was 92%. 39% of our students met both standards for reading and math, which was the same as the state average. 70% of the students in our district met the reading standards, and 41% of the students in our district met the math standards. And now I'm going to turn it over to Christian, who's going to talk to you a little bit about what this means for classroom instruction at the high school level.
Thank you. During the summer, apologize for my voice. During the summer, we're required to meet for college readiness. We specifically aligned not only our TEKS, but also the selection of resources with the intention of engaging students with high levels of learning needed for college and career. We designed our focus planning documents with the end in mind, making deliberate choices that would help tie in college level materials they would most likely see on the SAT. Our students have been introduced to Khan Academy, which is a resource they are able to use both inside and outside of the classroom for tailored instruction and supplemental instruction for what we do in the classroom that's tied to the SAT standards so that we can meet or exceed these goals.
And I'll brag a little bit on these English 3 teachers who have worked so hard to help really support our TEKS alignment. We had, between our SAT 2017 class and our 2018 class, a 2% increase, which is quite a bit, in our reading scores for that test. And I think that's can directly be attributed to what's happening in the classroom with these students. What we're going to do next, now that we've heard a little bit about the academic implications for our post-secondary readiness, now I'm going to introduce you to 2 of our counselors, Ms. Carla Barnes and Brandy Martin, who are going to share with you what some of our elementary post-secondary readiness looks like to support this goal.
Good evening. In the spirit of House Bill 5, TEA's counseling model, and our district's priority 1 of high achievement, school counselors have been diligent in preparing students for that high achievement. We have 2 students who would like to speak to you tonight.
It is my honor to introduce Tyler Murray, a 6th grader at Wilder Intermediate.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Murray. Good evening. My name is Tyler Murray, and I'm a 6th grader at Wilder Intermediate. My question for you this evening is, what is on your plate that stresses you out? Just as you have things on your plate, we as students also have things on our plate. Sometimes these things are social, emotional, or academic concerns that we have. During a recent lesson with my school counselor, we learned about healthy coping skills for handling what is on our plate. As a class, we sorted healthy versus unhealthy coping skills. At the end of the lesson, we took a few minutes to self-reflect. I was able to write down one thing that is on my plate right now and list 5 unhealthy solutions for it. Healthy. This is definitely something that I will use this year, next year, through high school, as I enter college and start my career. And as I enter, guidance lessons with my counselor helps me to learn and grow so that I am better prepared for tomorrow. Thank you for listening, caring about my future, and supporting the SCUC counseling program.
It is my honor to introduce you to Marshall Coriel, 4th grader at Watts Elementary.
My name is Marshall Coriel, and I am a 4th grader at Watts Elementary. Recently, my school counselor came to do a guidance lesson about career awareness, and I know the goal is to have high achievement in school so that I have a good career. In the guidance lesson, I did a career interest inventory. My results showed that I was interested in architecture and construction, transportation, distribution, and logistics, and science, technology, engineering, and math. Right now, I would like to be an engineer. In 8th grade, I know that I will meet with my school counselor to pick my endorsement or career path for high school. Once I graduate high school, I can start a job with on-the-job training, go to a trade school, go to college, or go into the military. High achievement is the goal, and to be college and career ready, I need to start now. I can do that by listening to my teachers, staying focused, trying my best, being kind, and learning all that I can. Thank you for listening and caring about my future.
As you can see, we have a plethora of opportunities available for our students all the way from kindergarten up through 12th grade to help support their post-secondary readiness. But I think the reality of that is that we know that there's also some challenges that go along with that. And so I've highlighted 2 of our challenges. One is education for all of our teachers in the design of the new SAT assessment and how it aligns to our current Texas TEKS. And I probably should have added teachers and parents into that piece. The new SAT exam is significantly different than the previous SAT exam. And so there's a lot of implications in that instructionally and also for outside preparation for the assessment. So that's definitely an opportunity and a challenge. And the second one is we are currently preparing for a significant redesign of the English Language Arts TEKS, which will necessitate a full rewrite of all of our focus planning guides to ensure continued alignment with the new TEKS and with the SAT assessment at the high school level. And that goes into effect our 2019-2020 school year is when that starts. And following along with this now, I'm going to introduce Serena Georges-Penny, who's our elementary literacy coordinator, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about Goal 1.8, which is all of our literacy that goes into Goal 1.7. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Gibson, and President Westbrook. I have the pleasure of partnering with Jill Pratt, and she's one of our first grade teachers at Rose Garden Elementary. And we're going to talk to you today about Goal 1.8. Goal 1.8 is 90% of students reading on grade level by the end of their second grade year. It aligns with the beliefs that you see below. The following graph shows you our beginning of the year in the green and our middle of the year in the yellow. And as you can see, our students did show progress in kinder to third grade, and in fourth grade they maintained. For kindergarten, they had the most increase at 6%. First grade had a 5% increase, and second and third grade had a 3% increase each. This graph shows you the cohort growth for each year. So kinder does not have a blue graph, but you'll see that first, second, and third and fourth have blue graphs, and that just demonstrates where the students were at the end of last school year. So our goal for the end of this school year is for the red graph to be higher than the blue graph, so then we know that our cohort is making growth as far as their literacy skills as tested on iStation. So Jill is going to talk to you a little bit about some of the strategic opportunities that we've had for our students' progress.
Hey Jill, I'm going to take a picture of you while you talk and tweet because you're the Twitter queen. So I'm going to embarrass you right now because now you're in my classroom.
One of our homegrown.
Yeah, I know all about.
All of
Jill.
you have been on there except for Mr. Finley and
JD, get at least one light on so I can get a little more.
And you need to reschedule. Back to my room to celebrity read. Huh? You rescheduled? She didn't send me a date.
I'm serious. Go ahead. I'm tweeting.
I'm supposed to talk now. Saying good evening, Mr. Westbrook, Dr. G, and esteemed board members. In collaboration with teachers, we are in the ongoing process of creating our district's curriculum, the focus planning guides. Our focus planning guides are designed with specific attention to the alignment and specificity. Yeah, it's my word. And that goes with the 5 components of reading instruction, and that's phonological awareness, phonics, which includes spelling, vocabulary, reading fluency, and comprehension. There are resources and hot links like Lista mentioned, and they are giving from the new teacher to the experienced teacher plenty of places to start when they are planning their lessons following the critical content. The effect on the depth of planning occurring in the campus PLCs and the level of teaching is that teachers are really focused on the critical content. The instruction is focused on the critical content. The key areas for professional learning and support is through the FPGs. We have identified where teachers are needing professional development, and that is in phonological awareness and reading fluency. Teachers are finding, as they're reading the FPGs, that they're like, hey, I need more support here, and then they're going to Serena and saying, these are the things that I'm looking for, and she's coming back and helping filling those holes. And that is all I have, and I will see you Friday, Dr. Gibson.
Oh, if you say so.
So with all of that hard work, I do need to point out that our district goal is 90% at the end of the school year, and we've already reached that goal for second grade. So our middle of the school year is already at 90%. So we're looking forward to seeing what our end of the school year goal is going to be. We're very excited that we've already hit that goal for the middle of the school year. Like Jill said, there's a lot of work that goes into creating the focus planning guides. One of the things that we find a challenge is being able to participate in campus PLCs on a consistent basis because of the amount of work that goes into creating the focus planning guides. It takes a lot of work just creating such a comprehensive document for teachers to be able to use. And then the other challenge that we have is developing professional learning opportunities for teachers. Because we're so focused on developing just the curriculum part of it, we're not as able to develop some professional learning opportunities. With that being said, we're looking forward to having those documents done by the end of this school year, and then we're also looking forward to our summer curriculum camp, where teachers will be able to come in and collaborate with us and kind of tidy up the documents and get them ready for next school year. So we'll be starting next school year with documents already completed, so we'll be able to go back onto campus PLCs and be able to provide professional learning opportunities for teachers going forward. And with that being said, I am going to introduce Mike Leib, and he is going to present Goal 1.10.
Can we hold on one moment? I thank Amy for going to go get the students, and I know they were getting on their way home, so we can have the lights and take pictures real quick, and then we can continue. I didn't want to hold them up too much longer.
Can I make a comment too on that?
Yes.
Hey, I just want to say for Tyler and for Marshall, most adults can't even get up and speak in front of a crowd like this, and both of them came up here, and I just want to say that y'all did an outstanding job.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Dr. Leib.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook, Dr. Gibson, board members. Goal 1.10, as you're well aware, is our goal at 90% of our secondary students, grades 7 through 12, will participate in high-quality extracurricular activities. We have a committee, I guess you would say, Goal 1.10 committee, that we meet quarterly. You can see the members of it there, some assistant principals, myself, Coach Linhoff, and Ms. Che. And a lot of those meetings we spend some technical things, how we're going to gather our numbers and things, but more importantly, we share ideas on how we can get more students, things we're doing on this campus, we might try on this was successful, this was not so successful. We had every intention of having one of our high school assistant principals here this evening to tell you about some of their strategies, but they are both busy at extracurricular activities, go figure. So I will, if they were here, what they would tell you was at this point, the past few years we've been up in the 88-89% range, really reaching a point to where it's really down to one-on-one for students. They have set up some scenarios where they match up the students and find out who all's in, and then it's just a matter of picking out the ones who aren't and having a one-on-one conversation. Mr. Saunders did a great activity at Clemens High School last spring, and then just started tracking down students. Okay, why aren't you in a club? And sitting down one-on-one and trying to find out how we can get them matched up and connected, because we know that's important, is that all the students be connected in some way. So that's where we are with that now. The other part that I always like to say, it's the quantity and the quality part of it as well. You're aware last year we invested quite a bit of money in upgrading our instruments, replacing some instruments that were long overdue to be sent out to the pasture, and also just catching up with some growth. And we did that, and we're continuing. We bought a few more this year, but this year we spent a lot on athletic facilities through our EPP plan, and you're aware of the turf there and the rake, and Coach Linhoff tells me that those are going to be just very great assets to our program as we continue. Just to wrap up some of our strategic challenges and opportunities, we're continuing to grow. We know our growth is slower, but our programs are growing. We're trying to get them to grow. And just finding creative ways to maintain these programs with our current levels of staffing and supplies, equipments, and facilities to make that happen. Thank you.
One question.
Yes.
The quantitative portion is 90%.
Yes.
How do you determine the qualitative, ensure qualitative
You mean the quality?
Yeah, the quality. There's quantity and quality.
We have talked about, that's one of the things we talk about a lot in our committee is how we can do that. And we do have our scorecards that we will present at the end of the year, our Lone Star Cup and our Quality Cup within our district. But we've also tried to explore some other ways that we can explore things that would that might measure the quality of other things outside of our UIL activities, our clubs and organizations. And we're continuing to explore that, reaching out to other districts and what they are doing, and perhaps seeing if something might be a good fit for SCUC.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Okay, thank you guys. We really appreciate that. Now you know why I stepped away from the podium so quickly, is so you could hear from the outstanding folks here behind us. So thank you guys for that. You know, and this is something that we continue to kind of live by, you know, getting all the people in the organization rowing in the same direction. We can dominate. We can, you know, achieve at high levels against any competition at any time. And then bringing us right back to the way we're doing this. It's together. It's through our PLC. That is the encompassing process that we use to do this. We place a lot of emphasis on that. We invest a lot. We look at this, the whole PLC process as an investment, not an expenditure. And we're going to continue to invest in our folks, who invest in our kids, who invest, as you heard, from the kids. And for those of you that went after the kids that talked tonight, awesome, because I wouldn't have wanted to follow them. They did a great job with that. But you can see that's cascading all the way down into the elementary and the intermediate levels of our counselors working with them with guidance lessons and already starting to have some of those conversations with them. And it takes teamwork. You see the directors and assistant directors here. We want to acknowledge them, as well as our coordinators that are involved in that. And we would certainly be remiss if we didn't acknowledge our principals and the leadership that they exhibit on the campus as it relates to priority 1, 2, and 3, because we talk all the time. You can't have 2 and 3 without 1. You know, you can't have 1 without 2 and 3, and vice versa. So with that being said, if there's any additional questions, we'd be happy to answer, either myself or any of us here. It sounds like you had a couple that we were able to address.
No, John.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I'd like to make a comment if I could, only because of the I have them here. First of all, I think this is just wonderful, and I say that every time. I think we're on the right direction, and I think that, we always show that we're constantly looking at ways to improve everything that we do in education here, and I just think it was a great job. On a personal level, I would just like to say, in light of the events that happened in Florida and some of the stories that are coming out of the I think 3 teachers and coaches and what they did to sacrifice their lives for the students. I don't think you can hear it enough, and I just want to say it, and I think I get it right, to the teachers, the counselors, and the coordinators that's presented today. Thank y'all for everything y'all do. It's your passion and everything is infectious, and I know, along with several people up here, I had 4 kids through the district, 3 that are currently here, and I've never once ever heard one of them say they don't like going to school, and that's because of what y'all do every day. And so I want to say thank y'all very much.
Thank you, guys.
Any other questions? So my question is, where does the, how do I say it? Who's responsible at the campus level? That's the campus coordinator or just other principal? That's a lot of time, like, who said it was a lot of time? I mean,
they all would.
They all take so much time, but
it is.
Who's responsible for the coordination, communication?
I'll go right back to the PLC definition. It's a coordinated effort from everybody. I think you heard several of our coordinators talk about the involvement of our teachers in those processes with the facilitators guides and or the focus documents and some of those kind of things, with setting up the assessments. And so it's heavily involved in our teachers, not only in the year, and sometimes that can be after school. We've had opportunities where they've come up on Saturdays, and then the curriculum camps this summer obviously will be during their summer break as well. So we really look at it as a collaborative effort. We have the input, but it takes a great deal of time of our coordinators, our curriculum coordinators led by Dr. Wood. But it was fantastic to have the opportunity to talk with Mr. Finley the other day a little bit, because you're so busy doing it, you seldom take a step back. And Dr. Gibson told a great story the other day about sometimes you just need to take a step back and look at what all's happening, and that allowed us to do so and kind of go back and share the last 2 years of the journey of this. And you're seeing the efforts, and we haven't even gotten to the top yet.
Thank you. 2018 February construction update. Mr. Pruski and J.D. Mosley.
JD, I'm just saying they're leaving, so they're done.
There they go.
Yeah.
Is that an option?
Yeah. Two of you.
Okay, good evening, President Westbrook, Dr. Gibson, and members of the board. I'm going to start us off with construction update tonight with Rose Garden Elementary. And so I'm going to jump right down to the bottom left corner. We're 75% complete on this project, so still moving along very well. Again, most of the 2/3 of the top of this you've seen before. I'm going to focus on the bottom down there. Ceiling grid installation ongoing. Lots of interior painting going on. You're going to see some good pictures tonight of the interior. Ceramic tile and then millwork installation going on as well. Here's our exterior rendering. Site plan. Looking at some more dirt. This is out front. Getting some of the landscaping done. It's starting to kind of take shape out front and in the back of the campus. This is our discovery zone. You can see the metal going up and then CMU and brick inside that area. And here's some inside pictures. And so you can kind of see now we're starting to kind of take some shape in some of our classrooms. You can see some of the millwork in there, the polished concrete, some of the paint going up. If you see in the back corner, you can see some tile up in a restroom in there. This is one of our, on the left up there, that's a workroom. You can see some of the millwork in there. A hallway, you can see how they're protecting the floors during this time. This is our kitchen cafeteria area. You're looking into the kitchen on the left-hand side. You can see all the ceramic tiles gone down there. In the back there, you can see some of the kitchen equipment already been installed. On the right-hand side, you can see the green tile in there with the big G for the girls' restroom.
The entire current Rose Garden cafeteria is the size of that one little corner. And
it would be the size of the kitchen, I believe, maybe
Yeah.
is, definitely. Yeah. It's going to be a big change for them, the cafeteria and kitchen for sure. And so just looking ahead, continuing with everything that's going on, the project's going well. More windows, more interior painting and landscaping and irrigation. So I'll pass it on.
when we get 2 weeks of rain now, it appears, or whatever it's about to be, do we have enough ceilings up that doesn't slow things down because we just move people inside now? We got enough work inside, that stuff on the outside, we just wait for a sunny day, is that? Yeah, no, I know I'm not saying you're not going to hit it. What do you don't stop with you may temporarily stop with that work we just saw in between those wings, that metal work and all that, but those guys and gals are going inside.
Yeah,
and
especially
getting
with
on
the
something else.
75% at Rose Garden being complete.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on inside right now.
Okay. We need rain, that's all I'm saying.
I gotta behave, okay. Good evening. Speaking of rain, it has started again. And Clemens, we're still working on some site work things there. Going forward, I don't know where, let's go this way. So Clemens High School, about 33% complete. Again, we're still working around the perimeter of the building, have yet to go inside for the full renovations to go interior. Just as some reminder here of various things going on, CTE building, we're still doing site work around the building. The building is active, kids are in it. Moving across then on the classroom and the administrative areas, working on the MEP rough ends, the exterior sheathing, roofing, installation, and then coming around to the practice gym, the new auxiliary gym, working on waterproofing and MEP rough ends as well, and the event center. So we'll see that through some pictures there. Moving forward from the event center also into the auditorium area. So we're getting there. Everything I just discussed or mentioned is in the blue. So those items are coming through. This is the aerial of the CTE building. You can see the new asphalt that has been placed, and we still need to work on the site development area back here towards the baseball field. They're working on a drainage issue there, and hopefully the impending rain that's coming up doesn't slow us down there. This is a look with our, actually it's a twofer here. We get the new turf here, which was not bond dollars, just as a reminder, but the northeast parking lot now has the asphalt, and once it dries up, we can hopefully stripe it and actually have it by March 5th or 6th time frame. So it's getting there. This is the look here for the event center. If you look at about on the left-hand, mid-left-hand side, that's the entry into the event center, the new gym right above it. And then this is the academic portion in the middle, and then the auditorium down to the bottom here. So this is, like you can see, it's taken its shape. It was very interesting, and I won't go through there, but I went back and looked at a couple months ago what this area looked like, and this is a big difference. So some getting ready with the form work for some more concrete and for the auditorium. Same venue, just a little different picture there. The front admin, and classroom addition, classrooms up to the top left and then coming down for the admin. This canopy area is our new front entrance, and then we have the secondary entrance pretty close to where this lift is. So this will be another secondary access point here. So this kind of gives you the idea of taking shape as well. Another picture from the side with the staircase at the end, and then you can see it's getting close, as is the gym. Another shot of the gym here with the exterior going up. The greenhouse in the back by the new CTE building. So that's hopefully, as it says here, expected completion in March, and we can have that ready and punched and ready to go for there. So a 2-week look ahead, more work on the rough ends with the MEP, obviously, closing up the stuff or the building sections and getting the building ready for dry in and to start blowing air in there. So it's really coming. And then the bottom one there, the striping of that parking lot. So any questions on Clemens?
Wayne, Mr. Pruski?
Yes, sir.
If you look at the new gym next to the existing gym, if you look at it from the L Bell side, looks that like there, excuse me, there's an opening, but there's area between the two buildings.
Yes, sir.
Is there something that's going to collect the rainwater coming off those roofs?
Yes, sir. That's this. If you look at this picture, the existing beer gym is the white gym.
Right.
It's sloped toward the new auxiliary. The auxiliary gym is sloped the other, and inside there is a rain, or I shouldn't say rain, but it is. It's the only thing that will be up there is rainfall or snow if it dries. Anyway, is a catchment system to drain out. So it actually is 2 systems coming in, and then the piping, and then out it goes.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there, any other questions? I had two, first there was the parking lot. Is the whole parking lot being striped or just the new portion of it?
This section here on the northeast corner?
Yes.
All of this will be striped
Yes.
and ready to be used for that March timeframe.
What about the other portion? Is that still in good shape after all the construction, or will that
Back
need to
here
be?
by you're talking the existing one?
Yes.
Back here by like band and everywhere else?
Yes, sir.
In the band area where the band practice pad is, and all that area in the back where you're correct, where all that construction work has gone on, we're looking at doing just a simple blacktop overlay and then a restripe on top of that.
All at the same time, or?
No, sir. That'll be later on.
Later.
Once we get them out of there and we can kind of say, let's go.
And the second question was, in light of recent events, the front structure of Clemens, I forget the security concerns or new, I don't know,
Up in
security
here.
aspects of the new building?
This will actually have what we call the fishbowl. You'll come into an area and you're not going to get anywhere unless you're buzzed in on either way.
Okay.
So for instance, just for simplicity, if you come in this front door, you're buzzed to go into the office, you're buzzed to go into the school, or buzzed to go into the administration on the right. So all 3 areas are controlled.
All right.
From that front door access.
Thank you.
Okay, then finishing up, technology, working on network infrastructure, the phone replacement, and classroom technology with the retrofit classrooms of display panels. It's a 3-year project, and Combs working on this. We're still at the infancy part of that with about 5%. Phone replacement, advertising for an RFP, the network infrastructure, advertise it for the RFP, and then the panels, meeting to review 50% docs and specs for the installation. So after the 50s, you'll usually get to 75s, and then to the 90 to 100s ready to go out from there. Watts, Wilder, and Jordan, we're sitting steady, waiting for summer.
Ramping up to get ready to go this coming summer, so.
And then last but not least, as what's been mentioned, the capital project through the EPP, the Linhoff Stadium turf replacement, is complete, working through some of the punch items. But for all intents and purposes, the project's completion was 2/16, February 16, and we actually had a soccer game on it Friday. And I think they're playing right now on it. And that's it. Any other questions? What's that?
We came in under budget. I guess underneath wasn't as bad.
Exactly. That was the
Yay.
whole thing, was we were worried about the substructure.
That's
So.
awesome.
We had to make a few repairs, but they were very minor, so.
Awesome.
And that's the report for this month. Thank you.
Next, we have the update on new district website design. Dr. Burkholder.
Yes, thank you, President Westbrook, Dr. Gibson, and members of the board. Just wanted to update you on the status of where we are with the website, but as a little background information, wanted to let you know that last year we found out that the company who had purchased School World, who was our website host, made a decision to shut down all those servers on December 31st. So when we found that out, then we started the process of going through the RFP process and choosing a vendor and getting the award approved. That was approved in August. And then we kicked it off in October, and the actual design process started in November. We purchased a custom design. They have canned templates, which is what we have on there right now. But we did purchase a custom design, so we have been working diligently with the designer so that the SCUC site stands out from all the others. It's nice, it's clean, it's bright. And I'm glad to say that today, finally, we are ready to sign off on that design. So we are aiming for mid-March to have that handed over to us. I will tell you that once it is turned over to the developers from the designer, it's approximately 3 weeks. All we know is that we will be moved to the front of the line. So whatever project they're working on at the time, they will finish that and then they'll begin ours. So our goal is mid-March to have the new site up.
I'm just gonna say, I like that y'all added, we're under construction, this is temporary, because I was getting lots of questions. Number two, I've been telling them to go to the bottom and report it if they can't find something, because I don't know what else to tell people. And so I just said report it. But the biggest complaint I've heard is they cannot email the teachers from the site. They've had a very hard time finding teachers. And personally, I even had a trouble one time finding too, but I went a different route. And it's all complaining on Facebook. So, you know, that's what you see. And I actually had 2 people text me the other day, a parent, and say, and I just knew the teacher's website, knew their email address. So that was the biggest complaint. So I don't know if you want to add something to tell people how to get there, but they're having trouble emailing teachers. I think it's because their name used to be on the left-hand side. You could just click it and it emailed them, and now they're not finding that. So I just want to tell you that's some feedback I've heard.
Well, thank you for that. That's the first time I've heard about emailing, so I appreciate that. So we will add that to our alert.
Because I tell people to email, but they just rather complain sometimes. So.
So what you have on there now is temporary, and then you're going to go to the customize in March.
Yes,
so are
sir.
people going to have to relearn it anyway?
We have tried really, really hard to get the menus like they're going to be. So the changes that you've seen in navigation should be the same. Now, the campuses may be a little bit different. We need to do some more training with the webmasters to ensure that we have consistency across the campuses, but that's a training issue. We can take care of that.
And I know, did some of their stuff not transfer over, like when they upload files, because secondary teachers put so much on there? Because my daughter, I was just thinking, they were trying to find, so some of that didn't transfer over, but hopefully will.
We put out an alert for teachers, asking them to check once we had it moved over and copied to the sandbox to see if their stuff had moved over, and everything that was reported to us that hadn't moved, we found it and moved what we could. Now, if we didn't know about it before the 31st, it's
gone.
We can't get it.
Okay.
Dr. Gibson, budget projections.
Yes, so Ms. Maloney took the notes from last week's workshop and have summarized them, and she's going to take 2 minutes here and give you a summary of the summary.
Yes, we just wanted to condense everything in that 15-page document really down into 2 pages. The main thing is looking at the key assumptions I think that we've arrived on at this far is we will be bringing a balanced budget to the board in August of 2018. We're assuming 7% growth, going with that low scenario, which is outlined in the blue, yellow, and red as we discussed in the workshop. To balance the budget, we'll probably have to remove the fast growth positions and are not really looking at any new positions currently. We'll have careful consideration of all expenditures. We've learned some things about the one-time staff payment equivalent to the cost of a 1.5 or 2% raise. We will have to include our intent to do that if we were going to do that in the compensation package, but there's some liberty in how you can do that. So we can certainly talk about that in the future. Still, tax ratification election is under consideration at 2 and 5 cent levels, with the possibility that a TRE might not be called at all. As far as the budget development and possible tax ratification election, kind of outline the revenue sources and the expenditure considerations. We know that if a successful TRE at $1.06 would generate about $4 million, and at $1.09 would generate about $5.8 million. And having said that, I ask you to turn on to the back of the document. And what we've provided there are the projected budget scenarios at $1.04, $1.06, and $1.09. And if you'll look in the yellow box, I highlighted the local revenue, or our taxes, in green, and our state revenue in blue. And these revenue scenarios really do reflect the state's share on golden and copper pennies. If you look at the $1.06 scenario, which would include those 2 golden pennies, you can see of the $4 million that the state is going to, in the formula, the state provides 3/4 of that revenue, and local taxpayer make up roughly $1 million. Going to $1.09, which would add those 3 copper pennies, since those 3 copper pennies are worth $31.95 per watt per penny, that's going to come mostly from what you're able to generate from your taxes. The state will not be kicking in the equalized wealth. So I think that kind of tells a story, if you will, about the golden and copper pennies.
Any comments, questions?
We appreciate the workshop setting last week. It's difficult to get these 1,000 moving parts distilled down to just a few key concepts, and that conversation last week really helped us.
Well, it's quite a revelation, the difference between the $1.06 and the $1.09, and the percentage that comes from the state and the local that's unbelievable how that
It
works.
really is. I ran it yesterday at $1.06, and Dr. Gibson was in a meeting, but I just went in and I said, look at this. And that's when we said,
And
okay,
I
we
thought the whole purpose of them doing that was for us to be able to get more state funding. And I mean, that's what they try to sell. It's just
will.
Yeah, though there was meaningful discretion to raise additional revenue.
Yeah.
Turns out it was from the local
Yeah, but
taxpayers.
yes, local
Yeah.
taxpayers
Right.
again.
Yep.
It's really
But didn't that chart, though, kind of tell the story? So I really appreciate, and that was all based on y'all the other night. We said, hey, let's just let's put all 3 scenarios on there because it tells the story. We appreciate Ms. Maloney's work.
Just as a aside, with this kind of information, it makes me sit up and kind of wonder, with that kind of money coming in from the state on the golden pennies, just the first 2, if the state was really serious about helping us, if they turn those copper pennies into golden pennies, that might solve a whole lot of problems that the state's having, because you still have a situation where the local district where local taxpayers would put in some funds and they would commit their funds to education, but then the state would kick in additional funds, so you'd have a mixed bag of local funds and state funds. Where it is right now, you get past the golden pennies, it's up to the local district, and that's pretty much my way of thinking. That's pretty much unfair.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if we're going to enrich our students' education past 106, it's totally up to us. The state just sits back and goes, okay, you're on your own. And I just think that's totally unfair. So if the state was really serious about fixing it, they might want to reconsider that going forward. Just a thought.
I'm sure that'll be the leading sentence on the next lawsuit, Mr. Finley, so thank you for that. Maybe they'll do it without a lawsuit, I don't know. Who
No.
knows? Yeah.
Next, we have the naming of the main entrance.
Mr. Westbrook,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to recuse myself in light of the subject matter of this number 5,
Yes, sir.
and I'm going to leave the room during the discussion.
Yes, sir.
Somebody let me know when it's over. I'll be
Yeah,
back.
don't go too far.
I have my car keys and my phone, so that's all
Somebody
I
take
need.
his keys, please. Really don't go too far, it won't be very long. I just distributed a letter, thank you, and board policy CW local is our local policy that outlines the naming of new facilities, the names on buildings, and the names renaming and dedicating existing campus facilities. And the section of this policy that's applicable for what we're talking about right now is page 2 of 2 in the policy, which is naming, renaming, and dedicating existing facilities. So what the policy states is that someone from the staff initiates, that's the email or memorandum that you have with you. Then they do send that to the principal. As you can see that it went to the campus principal. Then the campus principal has notified us of this intent per policy CW local. And then at that point, Mr. Westbrook, it becomes a board process. I guess my role is to ensure you that the staff members that have proposed this to the board followed the board policy up to this point.
So moving forward, it'll come back next month for an action item?
If trustees are so inclined to direct us to do that, we're fully prepared to do that. I can tell you just logistically, it took a little while to talk to the city of Cibolo, and I mean, sometimes it's better to tell you what something is, it's better to tell you what it's not. It's not that big green sign right there at the entrance of Steele High School, which is what street? Rodeo Way. And to change that, turns out, would take probably an act of Congress, literally. You know, everybody, 911, everything's already locked in on that. So what we're really talking about here is that once you enter the site, what we confirmed with law enforcement is all they need to do is get to that, so it doesn't mess anything up if we rename the road inside our jurisdiction or our property line. So it's not, I just want to make sure everybody knows, it's not the big TxDOT street sign out there. It's just once you enter, it'll be our internal road, which is just basically a big loop that runs right through the middle of campus, then kicks back out. It would be naming that road, which heretofore is not named, I guess. Just the road in front of Steele High School that just recently got paved on part of it, anyway.
So we would need to have a discussion tonight about Mary Pivotal Drive or Mary Pivotal Way, or?
Yeah, just if we're, and truthfully, at this point, it's doable. We're giving you the recommendation that they sent. And, you know, we're talking, I guess, ultimately, after board action about signage. Is that right? I mean, that's basically what we're talking about is nice signage to put up, probably in one of those middle medians, I would think, as those islands as you're coming in, and then probably on both ends. I can, for those that are in the audience, the recommendation is made, as, was it mentioned earlier? No, is it, it's for Mary Pivito, who opened up Steele High School.
Any comments?
I have one. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. We have a policy within the district that says that we don't name buildings after people that are currently alive. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What is the actual verbiage of that? Is it buildings, or does it say that we don't name any facility or anything after a person that's currently alive?
Yeah, the policy's in the board book. The new facility, this is probably what you're referencing, and it's a different section of this, but but it's a good point to make. So, new elementary schools shall be named for a street, neighborhood, or geographic area. New intermediate school named for a prominent author. Special consideration given to those that have written, whose writings were substantially directed toward enhancing children's literature. Number 3, a new junior high school shall be named for a prominent leader who is deceased and who is historically important Texas citizen. That may be what you're referencing. A new high school shall be named for a prominent leader who is deceased and who has a historically important national figure. And new facility that does not fall into any of these categories, such as a athletic or fine arts complex, shall follow naming process determined by the board at that time. Okay, that's on naming new facilities. This is not that. This is the naming, renaming, and dedicating an existing campus or district facility, which is at the very end of page 2 of 2. Page 29 in the board book, which this would probably, it's a good question. This would probably be more closely to maybe the stadium or a library, or trying to think of other things. What else? We have stadium. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, gymnasium, auditorium, library, gymnasium.
Yeah.
Do we have any other roads named?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I was just wondering. Oh yeah, Corbett Drive, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, so the difference there is that that street in front of Corbett is actually now a City of Church street. That road in the back is not, and that would be more like what we're talking about. We can name that one anything we wanted to, that's correct. That's a really good distinction, because that's what we learned in this process. It's not worth what you have to do to try to get it renamed going through the city routes, because they've already set all their 911 information on it.
Any other comments, concerns?
What's approximate cost of the signage? Any idea? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, sir. I haven't put together any costs on the signs, but typically we get signs made, stop signs and things like that for $40, $50. We're going to have a post, some concrete, overall cost, and this is probably $100 somewhere around there.
Okay. I had no idea. Okay, thank you.
Is there, the superintendent shall work with a subcommittee of the board to generate a list of names that shall be submitted to the full board for consideration and possible action. Is there any concern, or was there any concern that Mr. Pivito or some member of that board that you worked with somehow, presented her name and nobody else's name, or, or who was the board made of? Or did you sort of?
Well, I guess I'm not down there yet. I'm up here. The campus administrator shall be responsible to submit a request to the superintendent for possible board action.
Okay.
And so, if you want to appoint a subcommittee of the board to do that last part, then that's the direction I guess I'm waiting on.
My take is I don't perceive any blowback, but just to make sure that everything is done according to the policies and procedures. That's just my take.
Yeah, and I guess that's.
Will it affect the outcome? I don't think so.
Yeah.
From my perspective, but I don't want anybody saying we, you know.
So, we'll accept volunteers for the subcommittee of the board. I need less than a quorum.
So you need a motion, is that what you're asking?
No, I just need to know the names so we can go ahead and have a meeting scheduled. I just need whoever's volunteering, okay?
I'll be one.
What are we
just
concurring with?
a subcommittee.
We're just.
Superintendent.
subcommittee.
Yeah,
No,
so
we're not
forming a
concurring, you're
subcommittee.
volunteering.
You're
To
volunteering.
serve on a subcommittee.
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
mean,
Crew.
you may not be, but whoever, yeah, whoever
I already know
volunteers.
my answer.
So I have one.
I can do it too.
Okay, Perkins.
I had a long discussion with somebody else here recently within the district, and they said that after we named another facility after somebody, there was a lot of feedback, I guess, from the community, and I vividly remember saying that that person telling me that a decision was made, and I guess it's not here, but that we would not name any facility after anybody that's currently alive, I guess, for lack of better words. And I know this isn't a facility, but I know that discussion was had, because I actually can think I have where he said it was made, but I don't know if that is not accurate or what, but.
No, it's in board policy under naming a new facility. That's what I read.
That it would not be named after someone.
Yeah, there's at least 3 of the 5 that are people who are deceased under new facilities.
Where are you looking at?
Page 28, naming new facilities. Number 3, number 4, and number 5. Under naming new facilities.
So I guess the question I have is, if that's in the policy for junior highs, high school, and facilities, why would we not adhere to it for other things that we're naming within the district?
Okay, so this is a policy change then, is what you're asking for. Because this policy has 3 buckets. It has the naming new facility, then it has the names on buildings, and then it has the naming, renaming, and dedicating existing facilities. Those are 3 different components of policy.
And that's what I'm asking. Number 3 says a deceased person, number 4 says a deceased person. Where am I missing, I guess?
Yeah, so we're not even,
You're looking at naming of a new facility.
yeah, it's only this last section that is under,
Next one is naming the names on buildings. And then this last section is naming, renaming, or dedicating existing facilities.
right at the, on page 29, the last section, I think you're on it. That section, Mr. Crew, doesn't indicate deceased, correct?
Mr. President, I was part of the committee that drafted this particular policy a few years ago. The idea behind Section 3, the naming, renaming, and dedicating existing campuses or district facilities, was to give board discretion as far as how they wanted to proceed with that. We were more concerned with naming of brand new facilities, high schools, junior highs, intermediate schools, elementaries. The idea was that once a suggestion was made to name something, it would kick off exactly what was talked about, setting up a committee or subcommittee to start to vet that process out, to see if there are any other names or anything else that somebody else would come up with to name that same piece of property or street or whatever, and then you end up with a list of names, possible names for that particular thing, and to vet those particular people, that if they have good character, if they've made a substantial contribution to the district, if they're still, good character and that kind of thing. So that's really what it was about, was to allow a process that the board could follow. So, and that's how we're doing. We're doing that very thing tonight, setting up a process to that. The letter here that has Mary Pifato's name on it starts that process. So she's the first one. There may be others. There may be somebody else that comes along and says, well, how about naming this street after somebody else? So it's to start that very process, that the board has the discretion to go whichever way they want to go.
So moving forward, basically, the subcommittee will consist of Amy Dreisbeck and Jerry Perkins. You'll meet with them, y'all will discuss the renaming of the entrance to Byron Steele High School, and then you'll come back in a month or two.
And also too, if one person is, if we want to get one person, then we fulfill the process.
Y'all can meet over the next month and still come bring this back next month?
Sure can, or we can at least give an update, depending on where we are in the process.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? You want to invite Mr. Pivotal back in?
He's good, go ahead.
Now we can have a discussion item concerning the interlocal agreement between Guadalupe County and Schertz-Cibolo Universal City Independent School District. Facility use during public emergency, presented by Matt Rivera and J.D. Mosley.
Hi, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson. This memorandum of understanding between our school district and Guadalupe County is for the purpose that Guadalupe County has, or one of the purposes is to plan and prepare for public health emergencies, which could result from natural or man-made causes. During such an emergency, it may be necessary to immunize or treat all or large number of people in the area served by our district and county. Prior public health experience with mass immunizations, if we remember what H1N1 was like in our district, has shown that schools are well suited for this purpose. An interlocal agreement must, number one, be authorized by the governing body of each party to the contract and state the terms, rights, and duties of the contracting parties. We have a draft of the interlocal agreement provided by Guadalupe County Fire Marshal's Office. We have the Fire Marshal, Pender, along with part of his team here tonight as well, if there's any questions as far as what this would entail. Primarily, the main area is the parking lot at Steele High School. The people who would go into our facility would be minimal. There'd be volunteers for the most part. And I don't know if Mr. Mosley can add anything to that about our facility.
No, not from the facility standpoint, but I just would maybe draw attention to Roman numeral 2 on there, that this agreement's only activated if the public health emergency is declared by the county judge and if school is not in session or has been canceled. So this is not a kick us out of our building for this. So.
Any questions, comments, or concerns?
This really is a continuation of what we already have as policy, isn't that? We did this a few years ago. If I remember right, they specifically asked if we could provide steel in emergencies, so.
Right, I think what we also have in place is an agreement with the American Red Cross where they actually use our facilities.
Right.
And in this case, they would be, for the most part, just using the access into and out of Steele High School in their parking lot, which it's ideal.
Right.
As long as FM 1103 stays intact, they can go in and out easily.
Yeah, I remember this is basically a follow-on to what we already established several years ago. So yeah, this makes good sense. So
I think it allows for a lot of queuing of vehicles off of the highway and then have a very specific point of distribution site, and then just to help get traffic off the road and still make a distribution of something, whether it's medication or whatever. The very road we were just talking about. Yep.
I just have one question, and it says just for Steele, but based on the proximity of a potential event or anything, would it make more sense to open that up to both high schools, just in the necessity that something happens closer that way where they need another location, just so that way they already have it in effect? Would it make more sense to add both of them at this time?
I think the Guadalupe Fire Marshal, they may want to add a comment here. However, the main attraction of Byron Steele High School is its parking lot.
Sure.
And the access into and out of.
Yeah.
We discussed over the phone other alternatives, Clemens, for instance, because of its proximity here.
Sure.
However, because of its central location, it's actually not as easy for Guadalupe County and our community actually to get into Clemens High School.
Absolutely, but if an 18-wheeler with chlorine spilled right in front of 1103, then you wouldn't use steel and you'd need an alternate location, but we didn't.
It could be.
Yeah.
I suggested Corbett Junior High. It's out there in Bear County, as I was
And
reminded.
that's just it. Would it make sense to have a second location, just as a primary and an alternate?
Fire Marshal Pender, if you want to answer that. There's a little.
We have 2 additional sites. My name is Patrick Bender, and I'm Guadalupe County Fire Marshal and Emergency Management Coordinator. Steele High School is a potential site that we would like to acquire. Where we do have other sites in Guadalupe County. We have Navarro campus. We also have Marion, who have interlocal agreements with us at this time. We could potentially entertain other facilities that you guys have, and we could look at the parking lots and see if they're conducive to the layout that we would like to do. But with Steele High School, the way it is set up, that's the site that we would most likely use.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I'm just thinking if we need to have another one location, it may make sense just to add them both at the same time.
Sure.
But if you're comfortable, then I'm good.
Okay.
If I would rather hear what Mr. Cruz said and get this one done and then just start the exploration of other ones, because these things take so long to get going. I hate to slow this one down.
Correct, and once you guys approve that location, then we start a site assessment, which we walk the campus with maintenance and other personnel from the staff and start doing the actual assessment
For a
of the
second
campus.
one.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, something like this, when the city of San Antonio and Bear County did it, I mean, the number of personnel required to staff that is enormous. That's.
Yes, sir. We in 2015, we did we do a run every 5 years. We're required by the state to do a test. If we get this site, we'll do that test at that facility. When we did the 2015 practice test, which we distributed candy to the people that came through, that was their medication. We got about 130 volunteers for one site. So we're always looking for volunteers and people to help out. And it's a volunteer-based, pretty much you show up, you get the medication for yourself, your family first, and then, we do have groups of volunteers that we rely on. We have our Guadalupe County CERT team, the Guadalupe County VOAD, which those are large numbers of people, and then we reach out to other volunteer groups, Red Cross and things like that.
All right. And so my point being, it was just sort of to house all the volunteers. They would come and go on shift, or
yes, sir.
They would be housed on site?
So initially, we would do potentially the first shift would be 12 hours rec. We prefer that, but you can never guarantee the first operational period.
Yeah, exactly.
So the facility would be used for the staff members. We would probably set up in a cafeteria for the staff members just so they can have a place to rest as we start funneling cars through the facility.
Okay. Thank you. Any concern as far as the tollway, the toll road coming? We may or may not get it. I'm just saying, is that going to affect anything whatsoever?
When we first talked about this back in August with Dr. Gibson, we were aware of the construction coming in at 1103 and the toll road, so we can always work around the roadways and get the people in and out. So we'll have law enforcement as part of that process. Typical pod site, you have anywhere from 20 to 30 officers. So traffic control is done by, Cibolo or Schertz PD. So.
Okay. And a question for the district. It says the district will provide at least one person on site during a period of emergency use with access to the rooms. So who's paying that bill? Is that a state bill? Is that we pick up the tab for that, or we pick up the tab for that? JD's paying? Oh, JD's the volunteer on. He's going to be there 24 hours?
One of our maintenance administrators would probably be the person in charge.
And we're paying him, or will that be a state reimbursed asset?
Part of the contract, there is some reimbursements. I don't know all the details of the reimbursement, but I think it's submitted to the county and the county reimbursed for damages and things like that.
Oh, we're doing the right thing. I was just,
no.
If it goes on for 2 weeks, somebody's going to get a nice overtime.
Somebody's gotta get
I'm a
paid.
firefighter, so I know how much overtime I know how much I would get. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the
Application for staff development. Dr. Tony Wood.
Good evening. We are bringing forward a waiver for 2,100 minutes to be waived from the 75,600 minutes required in the school year. 2,100 minutes would be specifically dedicated for professional development days next year. We usually bring this forward in January. The state has gone through a new process and we were not able to access the information until recently. So that's why we're bringing it forward this month.
Is this the same as our current calendar?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just for 18-19, the calendar that was just approved, okay.
Any questions?
How many days is 2,100 minutes?
5.
5, okay. I thought so, I was just making sure. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Carew has his calculator.
It's 420 minutes, it's 7 hours, it'll be a school day, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No further questions. TEAC certification. Ms. Shea?
Good evening. You have attached a copy of the certification that all of our students are provided resources that cover 100% of the TEACs as required by Texas Education Agency. And it's just discussion this month and then action next month to accept the certification form. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Chapter 21 and non-Chapter 21 personnel contracts. Ms. Cannon.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. We are beginning the start of the spring season for contract renewals. And next month in March, we will bring to you all administrator and professional contracts. In April, we will bring the teachers, librarians, and registered nurses. And then any of those that are still on probationary contracts will be brought in May. Just want to let you know.
No questions. Next, we will have discussion procurement of goods and services presented by Matt Rivera.
And Mr. President, trustees, before we start, second month, same process, few tweaks based on last month, went well. We're just rolling from one solicitation to another under one item on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. After that rapid fire succession, I feel bad that we're going into 9 discussion items. However, it is what it is. We've had a lot of solicitations going out there. Following these solicitations, you're seeing something, some improvement. We've added step-by-step milestones for each of the solicitations which follow after this thumbnail sketch of all the solicitations on page 43, which begin with Mr. Mosley.
Okay, good evening. So tonight, our first solicitation is access control. This is a solicitation to provide replacement of the electronic access control systems at Pascal, Green Valley, Allison Steel, and DAEP. This is one of our EPP projects. Our estimated fiscal impact is $160,000. The project would come back in April for award. So this is similar to the projects we did last summer. We did these at Corbett, Slaughter, Watts, Jordan, and Marion Dulford last summer. So these are the next schools in the queue on the EPP to replace those systems. So answer any questions on access control before we move to the next one. Okay, so our second solicitation is the replacement of the boiler system servicing the Byron Steel High School kitchen and culinary arts classroom. This is another EPP project estimated at about $75,000. It will hit the streets, and then we will come back to award in April as well. So the current system is failing, and so we're looking at replacing that system with a new type of water heating system for those areas. Okay. Third solicitation is asphalt repair. I told y'all we'd come back to asphalt repair.
Well, yeah, and I was wrong a while ago. It's just now getting here. So yeah, that's what I was talking about.
So asphalt repair, continuing to make repairs at Steele High School on the asphalt. The areas that we're looking at this summer, end of spring and summer, are the main drive to Steele. That area will include the asphalt there, and it also includes the islands. I know that Mr. Matthews says that he's got a really good speed bump over there on that one side. So, so we're looking at that area. We're also looking at the back side, that back drive, actually back behind the practice fields. That back drive is in really bad shape. So prioritizing that corner first where everything drains to, and then trying to get as much done as we can for the budget. You see the budget there for the project is at $480,000. We're looking at bringing this back for award in April as well. Questions? Okay, so our fourth solicitation, I'll kick it back over to Mr. Rivera, kind of related to the asphalt to steel.
Right, we're hoping that our civil engineer can package the asphalt repair and the detention pond together to save money with site development, have one contractor do both projects. Although the asphalt repair is a EPP project, so that's going to have priority to get that done first. The detention pond, this is part of the sale of land, tied to that sale of land to TxDOT, who is expanding FM 1103 in front of Steele High School. You noticed on the drawing that was an attachment to this. They have a 35-foot right-of-way there, so they're going to be extending the side of the roadway on that side. There is some impact there. We sent the civil engineer out to examine the area. What he found was our detention pond needs some work to actually drain some of that water out better. So this is going to prepare us for when TxDOT makes that expansion, we'll be ready, as well as make the detention pond work better as it should. This should be done by the end of the summer, but it will be done probably after the asphalt repair. Are there any questions on the detention pond?
Can you tell me, can you explain to me, I'm a layman's term, so I'm thinking just a big hole, but it's $170,000 for it.
It's a big, very big hole. I'm sorry, it's more than that. You see I'm trying to picture it in my mind's eye. There's a berm that goes along the side of 1103, and the detention pond is not actually deep enough. It needs to be deepened in order to allow all the runoff that needs to come out of there go through a drain, and the drain is not properly connected, or the concrete drain that goes out to the road, so they're going to have to redo that as well. It may not actually cost $170,000. It could cost as little as $130,000, but we have a conservative range, and we went with 170 on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pruski.
Yes, the next solicitation is to, as mentioned in there, is to provide required furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the new Rose Garden replacement campus. That will be going out for bid and returned back to the board in March. This is for the new Rose Garden. So, question? Okay. The same can be said then for Clemens High School. This is for the new front academic and administrative wing, along with some internal ROTC renovations, the new auxiliary gym, and the new event center with choir, dance, and athletics, and the remote admin suites in A and B wings as well. For FF&E for Clemens High School on the same timeline, going out for bid to starting in February, and then bringing it back to the board in March.
Wayne, the only question I have is just on the dates. Just receiving, is that because we don't think it'll be ready till right then, because it has August 1st? Or will they just, as it comes in?
I'm sorry, that is a drop dead date for that.
Oh, okay, that it all has to be.
Right.
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
looking at a wrong document.
I'm sorry, yes, yes. As Mr. Pruski said, once it's ordered, we'll get them in and installed. It could be 4 weeks after they receive the order. It could be up to 12 weeks, depending on
Just
the
as
unit.
it's finished?
Yes.
Okay, that's because I just
Yeah.
saw that, I was like.
Plus, you don't want to get into a storage problem either. of having
Right.
to
We
hold.
actually write if there is a storage
Yeah.
problem. Heaven forbid, construction is delayed. That won't happen. But we
How
have a
early?
provision in the contract, so they will store the furniture for us at no
Okay.
additional
Okay.
cost.
Yeah.
I just recall a scene at Wilder Intermediate School. That scene had the principal and the head custodian putting all the furniture together in the gym, and then transporting that to the classrooms and the offices. That was a storage problem.
Yeah, I remember driving by that, and that was not pretty. Yeah, this is one of those situations where if we're gonna build it, we gotta put furniture in it. Because I mean, we build enough, I've been here long enough, been building enough buildings that every time we build a building, there's a cost to put furniture in there, there's a cost for something, so this is just a follow-on cost of construction for Rose Garden and for Clemens, so we kinda have to have it.
And that can be said for the next one as well, with the new library collection for the new Rose Garden, to provide the books and needed materials along with the media for the students there. Same thing, funding coming from Bond 2016. That actually coming in April.
Has there been, Mr. Pruski, has there been a discussion, is that going to happen like we, well, I can't say like we did anywhere because I'm not sure, but with the existing library books and equipment, things like that, is there going to be some culling and that sort of thing? And then culling, you understand that term?
Yes,
Culling?
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, Mr. Rivera and I will be deeply involved, along with Mr. Mosley, in preparing the items as needed to be placed into, correct me on the right term, I always say this incorrectly, Matt, go ahead. What's it called? Surplus?
Ah, gotcha.
Right, they're going to
Okay.
take what they need and leave the rest. And we'll take care of it
You know,
when they leave.
those were lyrics from a song by the band.
I don't know that group, but.
Up on, no, never mind. I'm just curious because I know some of the books probably.
They
need
have
to be-
value and.
Well, but some of them
meaning-
I'm sure have been used quite a bit
I
and
think,
probably need to be.
I think, Mr. Pruski, you've had conversations with the campus about some of those you want to take with them?
They're, speaking on the library side, I think Ms. Slaughter has identified approximately 700 books that she wants to bring from existing to the new. The rest, affectionately, as Matt said, will be
Yeah.
left behind.
Okay.
How big is her current collection?
Well, elementary school, it's usually about 10 per
Yeah.
student, somewhere around that frames, I think, 10
That's what I
to
was thinking.
15 per student,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
That's roughly 4,000 to 6,000. That's
Called The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down by the band. Check it out on iTunes.
I think it's
Football supplies. To the rescue here. We have an annual football supplies bid that's out. It is for football supplies equipment and some small balls and I forget what you call the sleds where the footballers go up against these pretended football people.
I'm gonna take it from there, Matt.
Thank you,
if you're
sir.
okay with that. This is football supplies for all 4 of our secondary campuses.
Thank you.
Which could include some of the sleds, some of the larger equipment type processes, but also will include helmets, shoulder pads, girdles, other pads, et cetera, for all 4 of our campuses. It's pretty much an annual cost or an annual expense for us. Any questions that I get to answer?
Yeah, and it's Texas, so I almost felt sorry for him, but, you know.
It was a little bit fun.
Yeah, but I realize we all have a specialty, and his is, yeah, it's not football. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to judge him on something else. So, remember when we did the contract for the sportswear or something?
Yes, sir.
So how does that factor into this, or could we not, like, we're getting money from some company, could they not offset, or? how does
The Adidas contract was actually taken out of that. That's more for the uniform and apparel, not for the most of the paddings and some things like that. So helmets, Adidas isn't one of the manufacturers of helmets. It's usually Schutt or something like that. Shoulder pads isn't either. So that's a different, that's been taken out of there.
Okay.
Any question? Any other
This
questions?
is essentially for things to get destroyed, for lack of a better term, over a course of time.
It could be that. It could be damaged. It could be the helmets on a replacement cycle. You repurpose those however many years, and then they come with a date. And once that date expires, those helmets are no longer good. Also for growth, some of that could be for growth. We can continue to see higher numbers in that. And again, this could be for 800 kids, you know, when we look across from 7th grade to 12th grade.
The helmets have to be recertified every 2 years? Is it every 2 years?
It may be every year, but it's either
every
year or
year?
two,
Okay.
based upon that,
'Cause
based
they'll-
upon the
they'll
mark
have-
that comes
They'll
out.
hold some back, so you have to purchase new helmets.
Correct, correct. Either by date or by, as Mr. Finley said, they're not proper. There may be, you know, for whatever reason. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
And finally, the solicitation for display panels for the classrooms that are part of the Clemens renovation that will be released this summer. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Those are just for the new rooms?
Yes.
Those aren't for existing?
Those are not.
Those are just for like the RO?
Yes.
That new wing?
That new wing, yes.
Gotcha.
And our apologies, Dr. Burkholder. I know you told us the installation is going to be performed by the general contractor, not by the district staff. General contractor on that campus will do the install.
Does that make a difference? Where,
It will allow more time for our district staff to do other things that they're going to have to be doing.
is there a warranty involved in somebody else doing it versus us doing it?
Construction warranty will still be in play.
Okay. I'm talking about the specific installation, not
Right,
the
it was part of the
construction.
general contractor's contract that it would be
Oh.
district furnished equipment, contractor installed.
But, so they'll guarantee the installation then?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
we have a warranty.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Now, we have action items, consent items. At this point in time, the item allows trustees an opportunity to consider which discussion items in
Just
this.
a second, Mr.
Yes.
Westbrook. Before we do that, I would propose on page 56 to do all items except the first two for consent. If everybody could just look at page 56. Does that make sense based on what I just heard and the conversation that was generated?
So they will remove the naming of the main entrance. It'll be brought back next week after a meeting with the subcommittee and budget development process.
And we'll just leave those not on consent, but then the other ones place on consent, if that's okay. All right, and then
Sounds-
speaking of consent, okay. All right, thank you for that.
Any item placed under the consent agenda may be pulled and voted on separately if requested by a board member. But we're going to pull the first two.
No,
No,
this is
oh,
for
for
next
next month.
month.
For
Yeah,
next
this is
month,
for
okay.
next month, just preparing for next month.
Um,
And-
Page 57.
Dr. Gibson, I believe that library collection is April.
Okay, well, so for items that are eligible for next month, yeah, but we'll go ahead and place that one for April. Thank you for that. Got it. Now, this
Now,
month's consent.
All consent agenda items not pulled shall be approved without discussion during the board meeting. Does any board member want any of the A through I pulled for discussion? Can I get a motion?
I move the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda as presented, letters A through I.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, motion passes 6-0.
And we had decided that we would only consider item number 2 and item number 3 if all 7 trustees are here, and they're not. So that means that only one item for closed session, I would estimate 10 minutes. Just for the record, that means Ms. Cannon is between everyone and getting home tonight, not Ms. Cannon and Dr. Gibson. So, yeah, yeah, no pressure. But Ms. Cannon has a couple of quick items, and I think Dr. Edwards have a couple of quick items to run over. I truly estimate 10 to 15 minutes, no more.
Sounds good enough to me. The board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, authorization to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. Time is now 8:44. We have now reconvened. It's now 8:56. Board will convene from closed session for action related to action items considered. During closed session, the board may consider, take action on any of the following items. Request for board action, employment of contractual personnel presented by Linda Cannon.
Yes, the positions on the employment list as presented in closed session are replacing positions for the 17-18 school year, and they are funded from the 17-18 general operating budget.
Do I have a motion?
I move the Board of Trustees approve the employment list as presented of contractual personnel for the 2017-2018 school year.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All's in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 6-0. Board items for review and discussion. Review of board master calendar. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's a Clemens football trainees banquet. When is that? Tomorrow, right? Next Monday, okay. So what is this? It's just to confuse me. Next Monday, okay. Also, on Tuesday, we have, that's the following month. That's confused me, all right. Okay, so that's got to be over here on the Monday, the 26th.
Workshop. Great.
And this is all the following month.
Yes.
As we saw on March 6th, we have a called board meeting, and there's also a city council meeting, and TASB has a grassroots meeting, and Cibolo City Council meeting at 6:30. Saturday, the 3rd of March, it looks like the 5K walk remembrance for Tony Willencheck. That's getting to be a pretty steady thing on Shirt's calendar. Which month is this? It's still the 6th. That's got to be March, doesn't it? Junior high school choir festival at Clemens at 5 p.m. on the 6th of March. Northeast Partnership Luncheon on the 8th, Thursday the 8th of March. And then on the Selma City Council at 6:30 that evening. And then Tri-County Chamber Luncheon is on the 13th. There's a Shirt City Council meeting and a Cibolo City Council meeting that evening. And then on the 20th, we have the Chamber Luncheon.
Which we're the topic. The school is the topic.
Okay, on the 20th.
Yeah. Good.
There's the Junior High Band Festival at Clemens at 5 p.m. and then the regular board meeting at 6 p.m. And then it looks like the Steele High School Festival on 5:30 on Thursday the 22nd. The Foundation Golf Tournament is coming up on the 23rd of March.
And we also, on the 23rd of March, have HEB judges for the Excellence in Education will be here, and I think we're going to need to get a board member, so we'll probably get you if you're available for the luncheon. If you remember with the school board, it was similar. And then we are, this March the 20th, Priscilla, I forgot to tell you, that at the chamber, it's the state of the district. So if we need to inquire with trustees, if more than our allotment want to go, since we're the topic, we need to get that pretty quickly so we can get the extra seats beyond what our normal allotment is. It's up to you, I mean, if you want to go. That's right. So Dee Dee, run through the call board meetings. Yeah, so so one was a grievance, and then what was the other one? Was it just to hold the date? Now it's gonna be superintendent appraisal? Is that, okay, that's what I was getting at. I guess if it's not against anything else, so because we just held it, right, just in case? So we'll just make that superintendent's appraisal. So that's the 6th? Okay.
A lot going on. There's also MOSBA this weekend. Priscilla, is it too late to register, or? Oh, okay. Well, I know Mr. Perkins and I know we made a commitment sort of outreach for exceptional governance, but I think Mr. Perkins and myself will attend, and I'll drink my fair share of tequila for the whole, I'm sorry. Oops. Is there any, if there's nothing more, we will adjourn. Anything more? Yeah, I forget where we're recorded from here on out. Yeah, it's, all right, if nothing more, we have adjourned at 9:03 p.m.